4th of July, we know that cafes, restaurants, pubs, hairdressers, barbers and many other kinds of businesses will be allowed to reopen with all the necessary safeguarding measures in place. However, amongst those places that have to remain closed are indoor gyms, leisure centres and public swimming pools. Now, when the weather gets hot like this, even in a normal year, it is just all too tempting to go for a swim, to find some water and bathe and cool off a little bit despite the dangers, despite the warnings. With so many places still closed, that temptation to go for a dangerous dip in a pool, reservoir or lake, well, it may be even greater this summer. So it seems like a good idea just to find out sort of what the risks are, where we stand on this. And we're joined by Rudyard Lake Ranger Ray Perry. Afternoon, Ray.
Good afternoon, Liz. The headset, that's very, very trendy.
Yeah, this is how I roll. One ear hanging off. Go on, you can make us all jealous now, first of all, and tell us what it's looking like down there at Rudyard today.
Oh, I tell you, as a ranger or volunteers we got down there, it is horrible. Now, youth is going to start thinking it's going to be absolutely beautiful, and it is a beautiful place, of course, and it's next to water, but the temptation is just too great for so many people. And I can't tell you the numbers that we've told to get out of the water. It's dangerous. It's in the bylaws. You shouldn't be in there at all. And these people are swarming all over the place. Literally, there's no social distancing since it started down at Rudyard, with crowds coming down shoulder to shoulder, drinking, bringing beer bottles and liquor and rubbish and playing loud music. What else do you want me to tell you?
Ray.
Not pleasant.
Ray, that is not what I think of when I think of Rudyard. No. It sounds like you're having a bit of a nightmare down there then. Is this
at the moment,
totally out of the norm?
Yeah, we've got the police involved at the moment. They keep, they're obviously very stretched, but they are popping down to try and back us up at times. But it's terribly dangerous, Liz. I don't know what we have to do to educate people as to the dangers. Yes, I dare say everyone can swim these days, and that's to the credit of the education and so on. But swimming in a reservoir is somewhat different.
Okay, you need to, help me out a little bit then here, because I, for example, on a hot day like today, I would take my boys and dog to Barlaston Downs. I don't know if you're familiar with Barlaston Downs, but it's like a stream. It goes probably, the highest point at which we paddle and wade is probably about 8 inches, maybe 10 inches. And we paddle with the dog, and we wade through it. Like literally, we're wearing our flip flops, and we wade through, and we cool down. Now, if Rudyard was my local lake to walk around, if there were, are there shallow parts? I'm trying to think if there are any shallow parts around there where people might be tempted. Is that where people do go in?
Well, the dam end, the deep end, is the popular end near to the hotel, and it's the old 1797 dam, and there's a grassy area, and we've got seats and benches out there. And on the foreshore, the eastern shore, there is a sandy shore. It does look rather like a beach. What people don't realise is that as the water goes down, being a working reservoir, then the more the water goes down, the closer to a drop-off they're getting. And at that end of the lake, it's some 10 metres over, 30 feet deep. And if they get to that drop-off, suddenly they're paddling, and next thing they're in up to their heads.
What sort of things have you seen recently then that shocked you?
So I've seen parents lying back in the sun with the radios on, sunglasses, and they're all greased up and so on, and little kiddies paddling in life rings bought from some, somewhere or other, but not. I wouldn't think they'd stand much of a storm. And these little 3-year-olds just going around in what will potentially be from nothing to 30 feet of water.
Is it your job, Ray, to monitor swimmers? Are there any, there aren't lifeguards because you're not supposed to swim, aren't you?
No, at all. You're not supposed to swim at all. There is the shallow end of the lake, is the north end, the Rushton Spencer end, the very picturesque and quieter end. But up there, it is silt. It is silt that's so deep it would, come up to your head if you walked on it. It's very, very dangerous.
How do we solve this? Go on, sorry, Ray.
No, the other thing is paddling. People have to remember that lakes are very, very old lake. And over the years, there's lots of things in the water, such as broken glass, where people have just come along and rather than take a beer bottle to dispose of it properly, they just throw it in the water.
Yeah.
And then it gets broken by a stone or whatever it is, or even they float them and then throw stones at it as part of the entertainment. And then we get broken glass, and that's how people get awful cuts in the feet. The steps that go down on the western side. And yesterday morning, we went there where people have been swimming, bathing the day before, and one of the steps is completely covered in blood. So somebody's had a nasty accident there of an evening.
Okay, so Ray, just to sum up with you, what needs to be done? Do you think? Because I am sympathetic to parents who are trying to help kids cool off on a hot day.
Yes, just look, having a quiet paddle or sitting by the side and putting feet in the water. What could be nicer, I quite agree, but it's when they start swimming or not paying attention to, and drinking as well, of course, in this hot weather.
Yeah.
They're bringing boxes of beer down with them, and swimming, alcohol and swimming of any sort should be frowned upon. It's down to respect and education, really, I think. We've got signs, no swimming signs up, and they get ripped down every night. They cost a fortune.
People are ripping them down?
Yes, they just take them down. So when we go and say there's no swim, well, we didn't know, mate.
Wow, okay. I'm quite shocked by that.
Itself has seen many deaths through drowning, and it's because, in part, we're told that, I've seen it myself, I've felt it myself, the water feels very warm in places, particularly near the edges, but then being a long, narrow reservoir, we end up with thermoclines in the water with the different temperatures, and people will be in something that's quite almost, like a bathwater warm, and then suddenly they're plunged into something absolutely freezing cold, and that's what affects the body, and that's when it clams up, and I've seen it happen.
Yeah,
and I'm pleased to say we managed to save the people, but you've got about 2 minutes, and if you don't catch them in 2 minutes, they're gone.
Wow. I think we'll leave it on that point because it's an important point to make, actually, isn't it, Ray? Thanks so much for coming on this afternoon. Ray Perry is a ranger at Rudyard Lake. Some important points, I think, made there, because it is incredibly tempting, isn't it, in this heat, to go and just find some water to cool off. Do you know, earlier we were hearing from Ray Perry. He's one of the rangers at Rudyard, and he's a bit stressed at the minute. He says they all are down there because people keep going in the water.
What people don't realise is that as the water goes down, being a working reservoir, then the more the water goes down, the closer to a drop-off they're getting. And at that end of the lake, it's some 10 metres over, 30 feet deep. And if they get to that drop-off, suddenly they're paddling, and next thing, they're in up to their heads.
Yeah, we know all too well, unfortunately, around here, don't we? Westport Lake springs to mind as well. We know all too well what those dangers can do to life around here. And we've got some safety advice, actually. If you want to just have a look at sort of the rules and the advice and what you can and can't do around open water, because of course it's so tempting when the weather's like this. But if you have a look on our Twitter pages at BBC Radio Stoke, we've got a link to all of that. About the troubles they're having at Rudyard at the moment with people going in the water and forgetting that it's deep and can be quite dangerous. Kelly says, Liz, maybe it will help people not to go swimming by reminding everyone that it's 2 years since Ryan Evans drowned in Westport Lake. I know it's incredibly sad, and straight away that's what I think of. I don't know about you, but straight away that's what I do think of when we talk about open water and swimming and stuff. I do sympathise with parents who want to take their kids. We don't live near the beach, do we? You want the kids to be able to cool off, the dog as well. I mean, I mentioned Barlaston Downs before, where it's you just wade and paddle. It's like a little stream. It's very shallow, and it's quite a nice place to go. If you've not got somewhere near that, though, I can understand why open water is tempting. Those safety messages, though, of why it's just not worth it, are on our Twitter feed if you want to have a look.